You're ready now to take your first set of data with the Sphero mini sensor board. At this point, you charge the battery in here. You've put it in the little plastic sauce cup to protect it. You've downloaded the app on your phone and you've updated the firmware on it. We're ready now to take data on your computer. You're running here the Sphero EDU app as an application on your computer. You could actually run this on a website browser from their website, but this is a better way to do it, to run it on the native app that is downloaded onto your computer. So we're here. I'm logged in as John R. Conrad to my account, and you've logged into yours. I'm going to come here and click on Programs. And if you pull down Programs all the way to Create, it brings up this window here. And you could call your program something. You could decide what type it is or which one you're going to use, but you don't need to do any of that. We're not even writing a program. We're just using the sensor board to gather the data here. So you can just hit create. You could even choose mini here, but you don't have to. Just leave it at the default generic Sphero. So you hit create. It gives you this canvas loading thing. And here's the programming page. You would write your program here. There's only one entry in the program. It says on start program, and then you could add blocks here, or you look at this in Java or C++ script, but we don't need to do any of that. All we do is click on start, and the first time that happens, it says choose a robot, and it has found now SM8397 is the serial number of this particular little board I have in my hand. I'm going to click on that. It'll start connecting to it, and watch what happens in my hand here. When it finds it, it turns on the LED light now, and we're ready to take data. So I'm going to take some data. I'm going to hit start, and let's take just a little bit of data. I'm kind of going around in a circle here, and I'm going to stop it now. I'm going to stop it now and come over here to these three buttons, dots on the right, and the choices are to look at the sensor data. You could look at the code. You could export the data as a CSV, but we're not going to do any of that. Here you could download this as comma-separated variables data, okay? But here you get all of this readout of all the sensor positions. Now, it's not as good as it looks, because of all these things, the only ones that are meaningful are the orientation, the gyroscope velocity, and the accelerometer. You'd like to think that location, which is position, and distance would be useful, but they're garbage. They're just weird data. This position and distance travel would work if we were using the whole gadget with all of its pieces connected, and it was running in the shell, but we're not doing that. We're just using the sensors. So here's the data that does have meaning. It means that the orientation here is changing from minus 180 degrees to plus 100 degrees, and we get data along here, okay? The gyroscope is wiggling back and forth like this. It's kind of coarse data because I was moving it very fast, okay? And here's the accelerometer data, okay? In the X, Y, and Z axes, okay? And this acceleration is measured in units of G. So here's the Z direction, which is down, and it's pointing down, so the acceleration is 1g down, okay? If I wiggle it up and down, it goes above and beyond that, okay? So here's meaningful data, and you can drag the cursor along here, and it tells you the values of those different, here's the X, Y, and Z axis accelerometer data, okay? And here's the position, gyroscope, and accelerometer. Let's take one more data set. So I'm gonna close this data set here and start it again. And this time, I'm going to rotate the board like this very slowly. Okay. So I'll start, and I'm going to take more than 10 seconds of data. And let me show you what happens if you take more than 10 seconds of data. So I'm going to start this running, okay? And I'm going to slowly turn this through a couple of revolutions, kind of slowly moving. It's still recording data, And at the end here, I'm going to rotate it faster. I'm going to rotate it faster like that, and you'll see that in the data. I'm going to stop this, and now I'm going to look at the data again. Click over here in the upper right-hand corner, click on Sensor Data, and let's click on the orientation, okay? But now I only see the first 10 seconds here, and you have to go down to the bottom, okay, to see the cursors here that you can slide back and forth to give you the whole picture, okay? Here I was slowly changing the orientation, and here I'm slowly changing it back, okay, and then fast at the end. What about the gyroscope? The gyroscope is doing something similar, and at the end, I go very fast up and down. Here's slow turns. What about the accelerometer? The accelerometer, here's 0 to 10 seconds. Here's 0 to 30 seconds, okay? Here's the z-axis for the accelerometer. It's about 1g. And as I start to turn it upside down, it goes down to 0, and then the accelerometer is pointing the other way. And then at the end, I made it go fast, okay? Now it looks like a bunch of just garbage there, okay? I can get rid of all the individual components and just show the total, or I can look at the z-axis, the y, and the x, because in this case, this y-axis was the one that I was varying a lot. That looks like a nice smooth curve like that. What does all this mean? This all means that now that you know how to gather data, you can do some other things. Let's take one more quick set of data, and then I want you to start playing this just a little bit yourself. So I'm going to click this closed, take a data set again, and I'm going to kind of make a little pendulum motion like this here. Okay. I'm going to make a pendulum motion with this thing facing with the flat side down. Okay. So I'm going to push start now, and I'm going to go like this, and like this, and like this, and like this, and stop it. Look at the data. What does the sensor data look like? Here's the orientation, nice smooth sinusoidal curves. The gyroscope data looks like that. The accelerometer data shows a small variation around that. You see the orientation data there. Confusing? Not once you get used to this. I'll show you how to take some real good data. Play with this, have fun just a little bit.